Hi, this is Elliot Timbal. My platform is to share instructional tips and inspiration. Welcome for another round of Power Up Your Instruction. For those who are new in this channel, please hit subscribe. Please subscribe for the latest instructional tips and inspirational journey of a global teacher. And thank you. In this webinar session, we will discuss the four instructional modalities to bring learning to life. Not all students learn in the same way, and not all students have access to the different learning modalities. In today's session, our goals are: first, familiarize yourself with the different learning modalities. Second, identify the country-level factors that affect access to the different modalities. Third, be aware of the challenges that affect students' learning in the new normal. And fourth, choose the right learning modality for your instruction. Guided by these goals, let us now start our session. Hello everybody, so welcome to our webinar entitled The Four Instructional Modalities to Bring Learning to Life. I know globally everything stopped. Our lives stopped temporarily. We even stopped working and stopped going to work, and we even also stopped sending our students to school. But these situations or this pandemic should not be hindering our kids to learn. We need to keep learning alive. We need to keep learning to life. And we need to keep learning accessible to everybody. That's why we have four instructional modalities to choose depending on your situation. Before we start our webinar for today, I want you to reflect on the following questions and statements. Why skip a year if you have different options to learn? Keeping learning going amidst these unprecedented conditions? Back to normal, then switch to the new normal. What will schooling look like for the most vulnerable students group? If remote learning continues to be an important element of private and public education, what can school and district be doing now to ensure its success? So there are four instructional deliveries you can choose depending on your situation. First, we have the face-to-face learning. Second, we have the blended learning. Third, we have homeschooling. And fourth, we have distance learning. So let me dive in to each of the following deliveries one at a time. Let's start with face-to-face learning. Occurs when students and teachers are both physically present in the classroom where learning takes place. Face-to-face learning is possible in low-risk areas with no cases of infection. If we want face-to-face learning to happen, we have to consider the teacher-to-student ratios and other social distancing approaches must be explored. When it comes to face-to-face learning, I guess this is good for students with disabilities. And also, when it comes to face-to-face learning implementation, we need only to offer core or specialized focus teaching only on the core and specialized subject must be taught in school. The second option is the distance learning. So distance learning refers to a learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and the learners remotely through different ways. And there are three ways to do it. First, we have the modular learning. Second, we have the online distance learning. And third, we have the TV radio-based instruction. When it comes to the modular learning, we could do it either electronic or paper-based self-learning modules. And when it comes to online distance learning, we can do it synchronous or asynchronous, wherein synchronous is a live session and asynchronous is a self-paced way wherein we can do a pre-recorded instruction. When it comes to TV or radio-based instruction, this is actually a classic long-time approach, wherein we convert modules to video or radio script, listening to radio or watching TV programs with educational platforms. This is viable for independent learners and learners supported by periodic supervision of parent or guardian. There's also use of the Learning Management System or LMS and other web-based tools. Now, the question is, if we want distance learning, then how can we actually coach students? So there are four categories of ways wherein teachers can engage students. First, we have the whole class broadcast. Second, we have the individual coaching and check-ins. We have also the synchronous or the live session meetings. And fourth, we can facilitate small group and peer learning. So those are the approaches when it comes to our distance learning. Now, let's proceed to the next one. We have the blended learning. So, blended learning delivery combines face to face with any or a mix of online distance learning, such as modular distance learning and TV radio based instruction. And also, blended learning will support our transition from remote learning and maximize both face to face and online instruction. I guess most school will use or utilize blended learning. Next is homeschooling. It provides learners with access to quality basic education through a home-based environment to be facilitated by qualified parents, guardians, or tutors who have undergone relevant training. And if we want homeschooling, there should be a supervision of a licensed teachers and alignments with the curriculum when it comes to what is to be taught. Now, you might ask the question, what are the challenges that may affect your child's learning process? Well, according to research suggests that young people have a great capacity for online learning, but much less facility and persistence with online school. This is true actually because our kids' minds are wired differently. They're good in searching, they're good in finding videos that will help them. They are good in doing games. But when it comes to online school, when it comes to virtual school, it's a different story. So, what are the challenges that may affect your child's learning process? First, we have the lack of available gadgets or equipments. Second, we have the insufficient load or data allowance. Third, we have the unstable mobile or internet connection. Fourth, existing health conditions. Fifth, difficulty in independent learning. Six, conflict with other activities such as house chores. Seven, no or lack of available space for studying. And eight, distractions such as social media, noise from the community or neighborhood. So those are the challenges that your child might be experiencing, and you have to address this if we want to switch to the new normal. Now, what are the different pathways for choosing the learning modality in remote teaching? So if we want to decide, like, I want to use distance learning, I want to do homeschooling, well, I want face to face, or you might say, I want this. Well, in order to do that, we have to consider the pathways in the learning modality when it comes to virtual learning. First, we have the care. We need to care for our students, supporting emotional needs and mental health, and attending to the most vulnerable students. So when you are choosing the right platform or the right modality, you have to consider the students themselves. And then we need to create. We have to create opportunities for projects and enrichment. So school must focus on students' interests, family projects, and reinforcing previously taught skills over addressing new materials. So what is that all about? Well, it's just suggesting that when it comes to virtual classroom or remote learning, we need to provide them with project-based skills or project-based assessment, something that is practical that they can use in their life. And then third, we have to set realistic expectation. So what I'm saying here is we need to keep our virtual classroom simple enough that we are meeting the goals or the expectations when it comes to our remote classroom. We want to go back to our normal life, which means if we want to go back to school with face-to-face instruction or whatever modality it is, we have to consider the following. Back to normal, switch to the new normal. First, we have to make sure that safety measure is in place. There are some PPE and other equipments and supply must be provided, and social distancing protocols must be observed, and monitoring of health indicators required to protect our children, our teachers, and staff. There should also be a leveraging approaches with the four modalities, either in person or in remote instruction. And we have also to modify the schedule and or starting groups of students in person and different times. And social distancing and split schedule must be considered. Limitations to movement of students and staff into, out of, and within the school. And school support services must be provided. So those are the areas we need to consider if we want to be back in the normal or if we want to switch to the new normal. When it comes to what modality to choose, we have to consider the country level factors. First, we have to consider the social cultural aspects. So when it comes to choosing the right modality, we have to look into the people. So we have to carefully consider people belonging to indigenous people community or indigenous cultural community. We have also to consider the location, the school, the district, and the type of school. If you are in a private school, more or less they can provide distance learning. If you are in somewhere in a very suburban area or area that is out of coverage wherein there's no network, you can use distance learning through the modular approach. So it depends on the social cultural aspect when it comes to choosing the right modality. Next, we have also to consider the learners with special education needs. So physical, mental, developmental disability or medical conditions, giftedness among access to assistive technology devices available at home. So we have to consider our students with special accommodation also when it comes to choosing the right modality. And also, we have to look into our parent or guardian status. We have to take note of their educational attainment and employment status. Of course, if parents have some form of educational attainment, they can assist and supervise their own students. If not, we need to have the assistance of a licensed teacher. If a parent is working full time, they have no time to supervise their kids. If parents are staying home, then they have more time to supervise their own children. Next, also, we have to consider the household capacity and access to distance learning. So we have to consider the following: how they go to school. Are they walking? Are they commuting? So how they go to school? How many go to school? How many children go to school? Are there four or five children? Then who can provide instructional support? Is it either the mother or the father or whoever is in the house? Now, what devices are available at home that the learner can use for learning? Is it cell phone? Is it computer? Is it desktop? Is it iPad? Or what learning devices is available there? Do you have a way to connect to the internet? Is there a way for you to connect to the internet? Do you have a modem in the house to connect to the internet? So how do you connect to the internet? So what distance learning modality do you prefer for your children? So, what are the challenges that may affect your child's learning process through distance education? So, those are the country level factors we need to consider when choosing the right modality for our students, for our school, and for our teachers as well. Now, the challenge is what distance learning modality do you prefer as a parent, as a student, as a teacher, as a school administrator, and as a community as a whole? Which of the following distance learning modality do you prefer? Is it online learning? Is it television? Is it radio? Is it modular learning? Or it's a combination of face-to-face with other modalities? So whatever your answer is, you need to keep it kisak. You need to keep it simple and creative when it comes to choosing the right modality for your students. The following delivery modalities teachers and school can adapt. This is the question now. This is the highlight of our training. So, which of the following delivery modalities teachers and school can adapt? It depends on your situation. It depends on the level of your comfortability. So, I will summarize this into two hashtags. One is hashtag we learn as one versus hashtag I learn alone. So, under hashtag we learn as one, you can choose distance education, online, face to face learning, and blended learning. Why I put it on this category? Because when we learn as one, there's a collaborative effort between students and teachers. They are learning together. Either is it online or offline. They are together with it. There's a direct supervision of teachers. Now, versus the hashtag I learn alone, you can use distance education using the modular, the radio or the TV instruction, and homeschooling. Why did I categorize this in this area? Because students are alone. They're doing the work on their own without any direct supervision of their teachers. And there's no supervision either of a licensed professional. They are doing the work on their own using the LMS or the learning management system. And I would like to acknowledge also our references for this training. So, guys, so don't forget to subscribe in order to access our training video for today. Access to my YouTube channel, Power Up Your Instruction. And if you access, if you subscribe, you have access to our training videos and free webinars. So I'm requesting everybody to hit subscribe and thank you in